One man, infinite sand, and a heartbeat that refuses to stop. Witness a survival story so brutal, it redefines what it means to be truly free.
Welcome to Vital Life Stories. We explore a harrowing journey of survival across the deadly desert, seeking the true meaning of freedom. The scorching sun beats down mercilessly upon the barren wasteland. Here, nature acts as a giant, invisible antagonist against human ambition. A lone refugee steps onto the burning sands, leaving behind a fractured past. Ahead lies nothing but endless dunes and profound silence. Every grain of sand tells a story of despair. Yet this traveler carries an unbreakable will to survive against impossible odds. The heavy air suffocates the lungs, making each breath a painful chore. But stopping now means surrendering to the eternal dust. Footprints trail behind, quickly erased by the shifting winds. They symbolize a desperate struggle between human fragility and absolute natural power. Water is a distant memory. A parched throat constantly reminds the wanderer of the fragile line separating life from sudden death. The horizon shimmers with deceptive mirages, mocking the exhaustive journey. Reality blurs, but the internal compass points firmly toward true liberation. Blisters form on tired feet, bursting with every agonizing step. The physical pain is immense, yet the spirit refuses to break. Sweat evaporates instantly in the dry, hostile atmosphere. The body slowly consumes itself, running on nothing but pure adrenaline and hope. A torn piece of cloth provides meager shade. It is a tiny shield against the relentless fury of the midday sun. Shadows stretch briefly as afternoon approaches, offering a fleeting illusion of relief. However, the ground remains hot enough to burn flesh. Memories of a broken homeland flash through the mind. Those dark thoughts act as fuel, pushing the weary traveler further forward. Freedom is not simply given, it must be earned. Out here, the currency used to pay for it is raw endurance. A sudden gust of wind lifts the golden dust. It whispers ancient secrets of those who previously perished on this path. The refugee stumbles, falling hard onto the unforgiving earth. For a moment, the immense weight of exhaustion feels entirely too heavy. Closing their eyes, they envision a peaceful future. That single, beautiful thought provides the necessary strength to rise up once again. Standing tall against the vast emptiness, the human silhouette looks incredibly small. Yet their determination casts a truly monumental, inspiring shadow. The landscape shifts, revealing rocky terrain that cuts through broken shoes. Each step requires careful calculation to avoid a fatal injury. A dead tree stands alone, a grim monument to the harsh environment. It serves as a stark warning to passing travelers. Resting briefly against the withered trunk, the survivor takes a tiny sip from an almost empty, heavily battered plastic water bottle. Every drop of water is more precious than gold. It represents a few more hours of life in this dead zone. The sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in vibrant shades of orange and blood red across the distant horizon. Twilight brings a sudden, biting cold. The desert is a land of extremes, punishing the weak without any mercy whatsoever today. Wrapping tightly in a thin blanket, the traveler continues walking. Moving is the only way to keep the freezing chills away. Stars emerge in the darkest night sky, shining brilliantly without city lights. They act as ancient guides for this lonely soul. The moon casts an eerie silver glow over the dunes. The night is beautiful, but filled with unseen, hidden nocturnal dangers. A distant howl breaks the absolute silence. Fear grips the heart, but the pace quickens, driven by an intense survival instinct. Exhaustion causes hallucinations to dance in the peripheral vision. The mind struggles to separate terrifying nightmares from the harsh, waking reality. Dawn breaks, bringing back the dreaded heat. Another day of torment begins, demanding even more resilience from the weary exhausted wanderer. The water bottle is now completely empty. A profound sense of panic attempts to invade the deeply focused, rational human mind. Swallowing dryly, the throat feels like coarse sandpaper. The physical craving for hydration becomes an overwhelming, maddening, internal, fiery obsession today. A small lizard scurries across the path, perfectly adapted to this hell. Humans, however, do not belong in this desolate place. Every muscle aches, screaming for deep physical rest. But stopping under the blazing sun would undoubtedly seal a tragic, fatal destiny. The concept of time loses all real meaning. There is only the painful present moment and the distant promise of safety. Looking back, the starting point is long gone. The only viable option left is to keep pushing into the great unknown. Dark clouds begin to gather ominously on the far horizon. But they do not bring rain. They bring a terrifying threat. A massive sandstorm is rapidly approaching. The wind howls fiercely, carrying sharp grains that slice through the hot, heavy desert air. The towering wall of dust swallows the sun entirely. The world plunges into an eerie, chaotic twilight of swirling yellow fury. There is nowhere to hide in the open desert. The traveler drops to the ground, curling into a tight, defensive ball. Covering their head with the fragile cloth, they prepare for the violent impact. The roar of the storm is absolutely deafening. Sand buries everything in its destructive path. It feels like the angry earth is trying to swallow the survivor completely whole. Breathing becomes nearly impossible amidst the chaos. Every gasp pulls fine dust into the lungs, choking the very life force away. For several agonizing minutes, the tempest rages on. The human spirit clings desperately to a single thread of stubborn, raw willpower. Finally, the fierce winds begin to gradually subside. The heavy dust settles, leaving behind a drastically altered, unrecognizable sandy barren landscape. A mound of sand shifts slightly. A trembling hand pushes through the surface, proving that life has stubbornly survived the onslaught. The survivor emerges, coughing violently and shaking off the heavy debris. They are battered, bruised, but remarkably, they are still breathing. Standing up requires monumental effort. The legs wobble uncontrollably, but the fierce eyes remain locked onto the distant, unseen, hopeful destination. The storm has erased all previous landmarks. The journey must now rely entirely on pure intuition and an unwavering internal faith. Thirst reaches a critical, dangerous level. The lips are cracked and bleeding, painting a grim picture of severe, painful bodily dehydration. Every step is now a sluggish, dragged motion. The body is failing, but the deep desire for freedom pushes it onward. A lone vulture circles high above in the clear sky. It patiently waits for the inevitable collapse of this struggling traveler. Glancing upward, the survivor mutters a silent vow of defiance. They absolutely refuse to become another forgotten casualty of this wasteland. The heat waves distort the path ahead. It feels as though the desert itself is actively trying to crush their spirit. Falling to their knees, the traveler lets out a silent scream. The emotional toll is finally matching the immense physical agony. Tears refuse to form, the body too dry to weep. Only a hollow, echoing despair remains in the vast, empty silence. A small, worn photograph is pulled from a dusty pocket. The faces of loved ones provide a sudden, vital emotional anchor. Gazing at the picture, renewed energy softly sparks within. This journey is not just for oneself, but for their shared future. Crawling forward, hands dig into the scorching sand. Pride is completely abandoned. Only the primal instinct to live truly matters now. Blood stains the golden grains beneath their torn fingernails. This is the literal price of freedom, paid in pain and grit. The sun begins to set once more. Another brutal day has been conquered, but the final destination remains frustratingly hidden away. In the cool evening breeze, the crawling slowly transitions back into a staggering walk. The human body is astonishingly resilient indeed. Nightfall offers a temporary shield from the burning rays. The traveler navigates by starlight, trusting the constellations to guide them safely. A faint, strange glow appears on the very edge of the dark horizon. Could it be a settlement? Or cruel illusion? Hope is a dangerous thing in the desert. It can easily lead a weary soul astray, wasting precious, fading physical energy. Yet, they move toward the mysterious light. It is a desperate gamble, risking everything on the slight possibility of ultimate salvation. The terrain slowly changes. Small patches of dry scrub brush begin to appear, breaking the endless monotony of bare, shifting sand. These tiny plants are fierce survivors, much like the traveler. They boldly cling to life in a place designed for death. Dawn reveals a distant mountain range. It marks the final border, the last massive hurdle before reaching a safe, welcoming haven. The sight of the mountains injects a sudden, powerful surge of adrenaline into the exhausted, severely weakened human, physical, fragile system. The pace quickens slightly. Every painful step now feels purposeful, driven by the tangible reality of freedom waiting just ahead, nearby. A narrow canyon provides deep, cooling shade. The relief from the brutal sun is an unexpected, incredibly sweet, precious, gentle blessing. Echoes of footsteps bounce off the high stone walls. It sounds like a steady, rhythmic heartbeat of pure, unyielding human perseverance. At the canyon's end, a small, muddy puddle remains. It is the most beautiful sight this weary traveler has ever witnessed. Falling beside the water, they cup their hands, drinking the murky liquid greedily. It brings life back into their withered veins. Restored slightly, the final ascent begins. The rocky path is steep and treacherous, requiring immense focus to avoid a deadly fall. Hands and knees scrape against sharp stones. But the pain is completely ignored, overshadowed by the intoxicating promise of true liberty. Reaching the summit, a vast green valley suddenly reveals itself. The stark contrast to the dead desert is absolutely breathtaking today. Tears of pure joy finally stream down their dirty, weathered face. The impossible journey across the wasteland is finally over now. In the distance, small houses and roads signify civilization. It represents a brand new beginning, completely free from past, terrifying horrors. They sit quietly on the ridge, taking a moment to reflect. The desert tried to break them, but they emerged victorious. Freedom was never free. It was purchased with immense suffering, relentless courage, and an unbreakable spirit that refused to simply die. Looking back at the golden dunes, there is no anger, only profound respect. The desert was a cruel, masterful, ultimate teacher. Every scar earned on this trek tells a permanent story of survival. They are proud badges of honor for the living. Slowly descending into the lush valley, the air feels cooler and incredibly fresh. Each breath feels like a wonderful, magical gift. The nightmare of the barren wasteland fades into the background. Ahead lies a bright, promising future, filled with endless, beautiful possibilities. This remarkable tale of endurance reminds us all of our inner strength. We can overcome any massive obstacle thrown our way. The human spirit is an incredibly powerful force. When pushed to the absolute limit, it reveals its true, magnificent, glorious brilliance. Never underestimate the incredible power of hope. It is the vital light that guides us through the darkest, most terrifying storms. Thank you for watching Vital Life Stories. Remember to stay strong, keep moving forward, and cherish your earned, precious, true freedom.